Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. Most of us think of job interviews as fleeting moments that come and go, some successful, some not. But what if I told you that a single interview could shape the rest of your life? Not just your career, but the very foundation of who you become professionally and personally. I'm here to tell you that it is possible because it happened to me. 35 years ago, I sat across from a person who would not only give me a job, but who would become a constant force guiding me through every twist and turn of my career. I had many job titles, worked for different companies, and have even seen industries evolve. But there was one constant. I never had to interview again. One person, a mentor, made sure that my professional journey was never, ever where I felt alone. Today, I'm going to share how that one interview changed the course of my life and how the power of mentorship can leave an indelible mark on a career and a life. My mentor's name is LeBrun. Rich hired me and he took me under his wing. And I mean that literally. He molded me. He shaped me. He guided me. He told me books to read. He encouraged me. He counseled me. He coached me. He was everything. He never felt like a boss. He was a mentor, but he was my boss. He would reprimand me. And when he would reprimand me about anything, I always felt like whatever he said to me was like a nugget of gold, of knowledge, of a way for me to become better. I never looked at him as, oh, that boss, what a pain in the butt, or oh, he chewed me out, or anything. I always looked at him as someone that was giving to me, that was taking time out from his life and what he was doing to help me. If he saw me talking to someone or having an engagement with someone, and he thought that I could have handled things better, he would pull me aside and say, you know, Linda, how about this? Or how about you would do this differently? Everything that I did, he seemed to be watching and guiding me. I never felt alone. He always backed me up. He always stood by my side. That is a mentor. Rich and I worked together for several years. After a few years, Rich moved on. He was leaving the company. It was like my heart was ripped out. I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do without you? How am I going to survive? This is scary. I can't do this by myself. And he went as far as to recommend I take over in his shoes. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it because I thought for sure I was going to have a new boss. So I did. Well, at that time, the company said, well, she's going to be the acting person. She's temporary. They did not even think that I could do it, but Rich knew that I could do it. He said, Linda, you've got this. I remained at that job for 7 years. I did take over in his shoes and I did the job and I loved the job. So in my 7th year, Rich came to me and said, Linda, I think it's time. You need to move on. It's time that you moved up to the next level in your life and your career. You can't stay here forever. I was like, no, Rich, no, I'm going to stay. I like it here. He goes, you're comfortable. That's not what you want. You want to move up and learn. And we went back and forth and he knew me so well. And he kept battling with me about it. And finally, I just said, okay, I'm going to give in, even though this is not what I want to do. I don't want to leave. The job was going to force me to commute where I walked to work every day. I lived downtown Chicago. I never had to drive. I had to drive. I had to get a car. I mean, it was awful what I had to do. But he said, no, you've got to do it, even if you're afraid, which I was. And I did it anyway. It was a fabulous move for me. It was wonderful. After about a couple of years, I said, you know, I really want to get back downtown. I can't stand commuting. Rich made sure that he found me something downtown. So I remember, I'll never forget the day he called and said, Linda, you've got your downtown opportunity back. I said, wow. I said, I can't believe it. I mean, I felt like I won an award. That's the kind of mentor he was. And he took care of me. So sure enough, I wound up going back downtown. Same thing happened again with another company. He moved to another company and said, Linda, you've got to join me. This is an opportunity you can't refuse. Again, I was torn. I didn't want to leave. I loved my job. I was dedicated to it. And he convinced me you need to move on, which I did. The point is that when you have someone like that in your life, they're not a boss, they're a mentor. When you have a mentor like that, it is life-changing. I met my husband because of my mentor. My life and all the people in it are because of my mentor. So just because I say it was a single job interview, which it was the gift of the most wonderful mentor anyone could ever ask for. And when you get the chance, and if you are in a job and maybe you're not happy or the boss isn't that great, you may want to move on and go on an interview that might change your life. And I'm really proud to say that I had the gift of a single job interview. Mr. Toastmaster.